Shana Tova, everyone. So my daughter, Lindsay, started first grade this year. She was here in the last service. She got to be the star of the sermon. It was really fun for her. She started first grade. She goes to Wilmot Elementary School here in Deerfield. And a couple weeks ago, I asked her how school was going and what her favorite part of school was. You know what she said? Recess. Right? Recess is her favorite part of school. And I said, recess? Well, you've got such a great teacher, a wonderful class, all these friends. You're learning so many great things, like how to read and write. She says, nah, I like recess. And I like lunch. You know, lunch is good. Learning is boring. Learning is boring? I said, well, you know, I'm a grown-up, and I love learning so much that I went back to school, and I'm learning just like you are. And she looks at me, and without missing a beat, she goes, Dad, people like different things. Now, I have to say, I am very proud of Lindsay. She's only 6, and she has enough confidence in herself to say what she likes and what she doesn't like. And she knows that it's not about me and what I think. She knows who she is, what she loves, and we had just better get with the program. I wish I had that kind of confidence that my daughter has. I wish my own sense of self-worth wasn't so dependent on the approval of others, and that I didn't judge myself by other people's standards, and that I didn't let what other people think and do influence the choices that I make, but I do. Not all the time, but more often than I'd like to admit. And I know I'm not the only one in this room who does that. Comparing ourselves to other people is something that we all do, and it's not good. Instead of just focusing on our own lives and trying to be the best we know how to be, we always live with one eye constantly focused on our friends, our family, our peers, our classmates. One eye constantly looking over to see what it is that they have that we don't, what it is that they're doing that we're not. And we get so caught up in the comparisons, so caught up in judging our lives by what we think we see in other people's lives, that we lose sight of who we are. The prophet Micah in the Bible said, "Man has told you what is good, but what does God demand of you?" Man, meaning people, family, friends, society. They aren't shy about telling us what they think is good and what we should value. But just because that's what they think we should be doesn't make it so. The real question is, what does God demand of us? And I think the answer that Micah gives is only to be just, compassionate, and humble, and to do your best, and to love yourself for who you are. We compare ourselves to other people on pretty much anything and everything that we possibly can. But I'm thinking about 3 things in particular, 3 areas of life where I think we are particularly judgmental of ourselves and particularly harsh on ourselves. One is how we feel about our body image. Another is how we define success. And the third is how we feel about our relationships. So first, body image. We live in a culture that is completely and totally obsessed with the body, probably more so than any other society in the history of the world since ancient Greece. And it's not just supermodels and movie stars that we have to compare ourselves to anymore. It's everybody around us. It's our friends, our family, our classmates, everywhere we look. And you know as well as I do, people out there do some pretty incredible things when it comes to physical excellence. I have friends, many of you, I look out in the congregation, you run marathons, triathlons, Ironmans, things that, to be honest, there is not a chance ever in the history of existence that I could possibly do that. Now, Judaism says that our body is a temple. And we know it's important to eat right and exercise and take care of the body that God has given us. But if you're like me, you look around at the kinds of things that other people are doing, and it's just overwhelming. Sometimes I feel like I've failed before I've even gotten started. And I know many of you feel the same way because you've told me. People have said it's too much for them to take. The anxiety, the stress, the pressure of trying to keep up, the constant feelings of not being good enough. The social pressures to diet and lose weight and be fit take a heavy toll on the self-esteem and the emotional well-being of lots of people. They struggle with it every day. They suffer in silence. Now, for me, I've learned that the key is to stop comparing myself to others. Stop trying to live up to standards that I know are just not realistic for me, and just do the best that I can do. But I worry about this for my children. What if they can't attain the body image that society tells them they should have? We have to teach our children to be proud of who they are and what they look like. We have to be careful about how we talk about our bodies and about other people's bodies when we're in their presence of our children, because children hear everything, even the offhand comments, and they internalize it. We have to be the ones to tell them that they're beautiful and wonderful and worthy just the way they are, the way God created them, and that what matters is who they are on the inside. We have to help them hear the voice of the prophet. Man has told you what is good, but what does God demand of you? Only to be just and compassionate and humble, and to do the best you can, and to love yourself for who you are. Second, defining success. Our society measures success by prestige, accomplishments, material wealth. And it starts when we're very young, when we're kids. Do you know that my daughter, last year in kindergarten, in the very first week of kindergarten, had to take standardized tests? From the age of 5, we start measuring our children by what percentile they're in. So I want to say something to the children who are here today. I want you to listen. I want you to hear this from me, especially those who are young. You are wonderful and amazing just the way you are. Everybody is good at different things. I know school can be hard. Sports can be hard. Maybe you wonder why your friend is better at something than you are, or has an easier time of it than you do. But please, don't worry. You will learn when you're ready. Your friend may be great at one thing, you'll be great at something else. The important thing is to be who you are and to do what you love. And if you can do that, you will be an amazing success. The superficial measures of success continue when we grow up and become adults. They just change a little bit. It becomes all about what neighborhood you can buy in, what vacations you can take, what college you can get into, what job you can get, when you graduate. And the culture demands that we work ourselves to the bone in order to achieve it. Put in more hours at work. Sacrifice quality of life in order to climb the ladder. Stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning to finish your homework if that's what it takes, because if you don't, you won't be successful. So we do it. And not only do we do it, but we feel like we have to put it all out there on display, because God forbid other people should think that we're not successful. You remember the movie Keeping Up with the Steins? It's been out a long time now. Maybe some of you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, you should get it and watch it. If your children haven't seen it, you should watch it with your children. Talk to them about the things that we do in order to prove to ourselves and to other people that we are successful. We have got to change this destructive behavior. We have got to stand up and say no more. We've got to be the ones to teach our children that success isn't measured by how many things you have, but by the love you have and the kind of person you are. Instead of comparing them to other kids or comparing them to ourselves, we need to help them discover what they love and what they're good at. Some kids love reading. Others love math and science. For some, it's sports and building things. For others, it's art and music and dance. Whatever their thing is, it's our job as parents and as grandparents to encourage our children to follow their heart and to cultivate their creativity and to pursue the path that brings them joy and fulfillment. Not the one that brings us joy and fulfillment, but the one that brings them joy and fulfillment. And we have to teach them to revere things like kindness, tzedakah, integrity, selflessness, more than they revere things like material possessions. We have to help them understand the words of the prophet. Man has told you what is good. But what does God demand of you? Only to be just and compassionate and humble, to do the best you can do, and to love yourself for who you are. Finally, relationships, how we judge happiness in our relationships. Our relationships and the relationships of pretty much everybody we know are on permanent showcase these days on places like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, you name it. We can look up the people we know and instantly know how many friends they have, who their friends are, and we can compare them to how many friends we have and who got more posts on the recent picture or comment. You know what I'm talking about. Forget about baseball. In the age of social media, comparing ourselves and our relationships to others has become our national pastime. We read all about how perfect our friends' marriages are, and then we start to feel insecure about our own. We see the pictures of our friends out there hanging out with people we know, kind of know, and we feel small and betrayed because we weren't included. We read about how our friends spent the whole day with their kids picking apples or riding bikes around the city, and we feel like horrendous parents because we just watch TV all day. Why do we do this to ourselves? I know it's hard not to compare, but judging our relationships by what we see others doing is really destructive. For one thing, we know that what we see about people on social media is only a partial picture at best, right? Everyone's life is great on Facebook, but it's an illusion. And nothing good is possibly going to come out of comparing our actual reality with an idealized illusion. The other thing is that comparing our relationships to other people's ignores the truth that every relationship is unique. There are no uniform criteria for what makes a relationship good or happy. It doesn't matter what other people are doing or whether we're keeping up with them. All that matters is that we are feeling loved and respected and happy in the things we're doing, and that our partner feels the same way. That we feel honored and supported by our friends, and that we can trust them to have our back. That our children feel loved, and they're learning good values and becoming people of good character. Comparing ourselves to other people does absolutely nothing to achieve any of those things. So we have got to get our heads out of that space and focus on being present in our relationships. Because presence, more than anything else, is the key to good relationships and happy relationships. Comparing ourselves to others is a horrible habit, and we are all addicted to it. As my daughter said, everyone is different. Everyone likes different things. Everyone has different needs. Somehow we have got to figure out how to stop comparing so we can celebrate who we are instead of always trying to live up to someone else's standards. When we look at our reflection in the mirror, we should be proud and happy at what we see because we're created in the image of God. We've got to figure out how to shut out all the noise so that we can hear the voice of the prophet. Man has told you what is good, but what does God demand of you? Only to be just and compassionate and humble, and to do your best, and to love yourself for who you are. May these words help guide us in the coming year and bring us peace. Shana Tova.
Look at me, you may think you see who I really am, but you'll never know me. Every day, it's as if I play a part. Now I see, if I wear a mask, I can fool the world, but I cannot fool myself.